Howdy, 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 and welcome to another episode of the DirtInfo Podcast. This week, we'll chat IMCA modifieds, including the Bash at the Beach and the Clash at the Coast. We'll also touch on USRA modifieds with the USMTS and ARMS kicking off their season from Hardo, Texas. We'll also touch on the UMP mods firing up a rebirth of a series, the Northern All-Stars Modified Dirt Series, which kicks off at Brownstown. There's also some late model action that we'll touch on, and as always, we're going to send you home with one for the road.
Yes, and if you want to find us, we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, for just the podcast. I'm not missing anything.
No, for the podcast, that's the best place to find us. We're everywhere, or most everywhere, on social media for other stuff, but the best place to find the podcast is those three.
And then if we want to jump into Josh, you went to some Monster Jam event, not necessarily racing, although they do racing. I don't know if they did it
They,
when you were there, but
they did race, which was actually kind of, it was kind of cool because it was supposed to be the two digger trucks, the Son of a Digger and Gravedigger, facing off in the finale. But Gravedigger was unable to start his truck after a safety restop, so we got a substitute in. But it was definitely fun. I took the boys. We had gone one other time. The boys and I had gone one other time way back in Alabama when we lived in Alabama and I was going to school. And so that was a small arena show. This was kind of cool to see like a big like stadium
football
show.
stadium.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. It was mostly kind of what I remembered as a kid. Lots of big jumps, and they destroyed less cars and stuff. I think
Yep,
that was one thing that they
they
did.
they ruined Monster Jam by getting rid of like the cars and the boats and RVs and stuff. Because when I
Mhm.
was younger and I watched it on TV, they always had that, and then for safety issues or something like that, or flat tires, whatever it is, they got rid of the cars and all that crap. But that sucks because whenever they'd go through like the camper, that was some of the best parts of the whole thing.
Right? I mean that's kind of like what it felt like it was missing. Like it was just a little less hype, and then they did like the skills competition, which was like I guess neat, but also like I want to see monster trucks do a bunch of tricks at once, not like try to do one kind of cool trick
One
and then
wheelie or
like
something.
yeah. And so then like so overall definitely a positive experience, but yeah, lack of like crushing and destruction was kind of a bummer. I don't remember the Monster Jam trucks being so fragile. Like there was so much downtime for like just broken trucks. And I just I don't recall that. And I'm like a guy would race and he'd go up the ramp and have to fix something and then come back down. And just like I just don't remember him breaking so dang much. So it was while fun and enjoyable, it definitely like it wasn't the 10 out of 10 experience I remember going with my dad as a kid. But
How,
anyway, that
how
being
many,
said, you actually
real quick, how many trucks did they have? Did they have a lot of
they
them?
had they had 12.
Okay,
12 total.
I feel like those bigger shows, like in the football stadiums, the ones that would always be on TV when you're a kid, they'd have like maybe it just felt like it, but I thought they had way more than that when I was like close to 20, I feel like when I was younger.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I remember again going with my dad as like a teenager. I sort of feel the exact same way that there was significantly more trucks. Um, there was 12 trucks. I don't know outside of the last thing, which was like the freestyle, all 12 trucks didn't partake in any of the other festivities. One or more was broken, like and could not compete. So there was 12, but not like exactly 12. So you know?
hey, like getting expensive, I guess. I'm
Yeah,
sure monster truck parts aren't cheap.
I imagine not, but I would like to think technology's got to the point where they're tougher, not less tough. But anyway, I digress. You watched real racing, as I sort of tried to allude to before, but you actually watched some racing. So what did you watch this weekend?
Yes, it was through streaming, not in person like what you got to see. But I watched Southern Raceway for the Battle at the Beach, I believe was the name.
Is it the battle or the bash? I have bash to beach written
Bash
down,
sounds cooler, so
but
we'll go with that. It sounds
that's a
like a old.
WCW.
That's what I was gonna say. But yeah, they had USCS sprint cars and modifieds, and then some like street stocks and whatnot. I was curious in the what modifieds would show up with the Clash on the Coast starting Monday, so 2 days after Southern. And they had a few Midwest guys, Austin Becerra. Now I'm blanking on everybody else.
Drew
Uh,
Jansen, I saw.
yep, Drew Jansen, Chris Spalding, Sean Harker, who's from Nebraska, and then there
Okay.
might have been a handful more. They had 20 total. Um, and the race, Chris Spalding, who ended up winning the mod race, I guess is a Power Eye B mod guy, which is explains why I haven't heard of him much because I don't really keep up with the Power Eye modifieds. But he pretty much dominated the whole race. But then there was a caution with like 2 or 3 to go, and that Sean Harker from Nebraska, I thought was going to have a chance at it, but then going into the last corner, Spalding kind of pulled away and won. But one thing I want to say is Joseph Joyner, because Jonathan ran last week, correct? And
Yep.
Jonathan's yes. Joseph
Yeah.
was in a mod. The Andrew Autos, is it Autosport? Is that what they're going by?
Yep. Yep.
Which I believe
Andrew
is who
Autosport.
Peyton Taylor was driving for when he still ran. He was in
Correct.
that car, and in the heat race, he had troubles or whatever. He never started his heat race, and then the feature he started, it was the second to last row, so would have been 17th or 18th he started, and he was in the top five, like not even halfway through that race. And there was a point where I thought he was going to win because on the restarts he would get such a run off the top of 1 and 2, but then after like a lap, everyone would kind of catch back up. But for there was a while there, I was like, oh, he's gonna blow by everybody. It's just right around him. I think he ended up third. I have it written down. He ended up third, so still not bad for not even running your heat race. So
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. And then speaking of Jonathan, I did see that he was named and now I feel Battle at the Beach. You're correct. I checked my
Bash is
more.
cooler. They should go with
Yeah,
Bash.
they should. But he was the mini series champ for the mods. I know it was only 3 races, but hey, big ups to him. First time back in a mod, and he won the mini series, so that's kind of neat. Um, but yeah, that other than that, so you were obviously watching it to see who was going to be at Clash at the Coast, and that, by the time this comes out, that's going on. So maybe a good transition to hit up that. So we've got the Clash at the Coast, and IMCA TV is primarily where you can find it. Although I think on Monday it was on HTF.
Co-streamed, yes.
Yeah, co-streamed. All right. And so they're running Monday, Tuesday at Northwest Florida, and
Mhm.
then
Wednesday's an
Friday,
off day.
Saturday. Wednesday's an off day, go to the beach, and
Yeah.
then Thursday's practice, I believe, and then Friday, Saturday, they're at Deep South
Yep, in Alabama, I believe that
in
is.
Alabama.
Um,
Yeah.
And if we want to talk, since as recording, it did start because they just had to schedule a race on podcast day, but they got 59 mods and 24 stock cars, which is down from last year, but I mean still nearly 60 modifieds is pretty good no matter where you are.
Yeah.
So and then
Heck yeah.
stock cars, there's not a single IMCA stock car, I don't think, in the state of Florida. So you're pretty much asking every car to come from like 10 plus hours away. So
Yeah.
24. I mean, you got a full field, and that's really all
Got a
you
full field.
enough to make a good feature.
hmm Yeah, and I mean they're not running for chump change. It's 1K to win. I think for both classes, 1K to win each of the 4 nights, and then they got like 2,500, I think, for the series champ, and then they pays back a considerable way. So, um, not bad pay for the travel. Um, Shelby Williams is there, yeah,
He's there,
podcast
yeah.
favorite. Unfortunately, we won't be able to update the Shelby tracker, but potentially he'll have more by the time this comes out. um, and then Dylan Thornton, I think, is there as well. He did not race at Southern, so that'd be
No.
one of the more headline names. Anyone else kind of show up? I admittedly didn't get a chance to check the entry list. Just
Drew Jansen, who we said was at Southern. Isaac
yep.
Malakote, he's was in sport mods a couple years ago, but now he's in a mod and he's been doing pretty well. Jeff Taylor,
Oh
who
yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna say Malaco ran podium at that Texas Showdown race
Oh, yes.
that we had
Yep.
talked about a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. So
And
yeah,
then
he's definitely pretty good.
Jeff Taylor, who I don't know how much he races much, but he's from Arkansas, and he used to always come down to come up, I guess, to 141 and stuff for the Clash at the Creek. So that's just a name I'll always remember. He used to be real good like 2 years ago. Don't know how he's still doing. He could still be doing great. Um,
In
oh,
Carter's mind, no matter what, he's that guy. So I get it.
Trip Gaylord is another one too. I forgot to mention.
Yeah, yeah. Dallin Murdy
Colorado,
too, I
Mel,
think I
Iowa.
saw.
Yep, in the stock cars, Dallin and Damon, his dad.
Dallin and
So,
Dan. Okay. They're
um,
just in stock cars?
yep, no mods for
Okay.
them. Well, Damon
Okay.
doesn't run a mod, but Dallin obviously does.
Hmm.
Um, stock cars is really where most of the bigger names, I guess, are in, like Jimmy Gustin, who's mod stock car guy, but just in the stock car. Um, there's a few Wisconsin guys, which I like to see.
Heck
So
yeah.
shout out to them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of Minnesota representation. I'd like stuttered on my own home state.
You,
We don't get a lot of Minnesota representation. There's only,
you do have
I don't
one
even know if it's on.
Minnesota stock car there, Andrea McCain. I don't know who she is, but hey, she's
We're riding with
representing.
her.
She was at
We're,
Southern
we're
too. They did
heck yeah.
the street stock versus stock car kind of thing, which the cruise of
Oh.
street stocks kind of destroyed the stock cars. So
Mm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Again, never technical, but that's a bummer because I like hold the IMCA stock cards in high regard as like preeminent ones, but um, different rules and stuff. So
they don't have to be the fastest class. They still put on good racing. I mean,
that's true. They still race the best.
there's a lot of
I don't get
cars
to
that
see
are
them much, but
a lot of cars that are faster than them, but they don't race nearly as good.
yeah, yeah. So, well, the Clash of the Coast is definitely kind of neat. We'll probably touch on it next week and at least go over who wins and stuff. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm way more excited for something else. I'm way more excited for USMTS, like unreasonably so. I was thinking about it as we were getting ready for this, and I was like, I don't even know why I'm so pumped. There's so much we don't know. We barely know who's going to be there. We're not sure what the rules package is going to be. Like, are we timing in? Are we just drawn? Are we inverting? Like, I've seen it all the last couple of years. But yeah, it doesn't matter to me. The racing's phenomenal, and I mean, there's something to be said about they're in my area a lot, so I go a lot, right? Like that is part of the reason I'm just so pumped about this. So like for me this weekend, I'm gonna be glued to Racing Dirt. That's like gonna be my primary stream that I'm gonna watch. But so I know USMTS isn't like your jam, so I'm gonna do my best to kind of like I don't know, maybe give you a little bit of info so when I want to nerd out and talk about this throughout the year, you'll both the listeners but also you just Carter will have some background and be able to at least not think I'm speaking foreign language.
I should add, I know like who the drivers and stuff are,
Okay.
like the top guys. I mean, some of the regional guys that run the Heartland Tour or whatever else there is. I don't know all of them, but like Harry
Fair enough.
Phillips, Ronnie, I know who all those guys are. But yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't follow it. It's not on anything
Right.
I got like streaming wise, and they never come to Eastern Wisconsin. So the closest race for me is I think Cedar Lake. They don't go to
Yeah.
Mississippi Thunder, right?
Not this year.
Yeah, so
No.
Cedar Lake would technically be the closest 4.5 hours away from me. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's going to be a lot of them at the Midwest or the Modified World Championship. So, like, and I've seen you at Deer Creek before or MTS. I can't speak for Trap. I've seen you at MTS before. So maybe we'll get you there. But
you're gonna have to rely on
anyway.
some rainouts for me to show up there.
But anyway, so yeah, so this weekend they're doing like kind of a joint show, the American Racer Modified Series, which is kind of like the southern most regional of the regional pods that they have working with USRA. They're going to open the show on Thursday. The two-time reigning and defending champ Joe Duval, I suspect, will be in attendance. And I think that'll just be a good I suspect every USMTS guy that's going to run on Friday is going to run that on Thursday. So it's basically like we're getting 3 USMTS shows, but one's just an arm show. Jim Chisholm, I think, is definitely confirmed to come back and defend his title. And yes, I know you know who Jim Chisholm is.
Yes.
So not going to belabor that. But last year's champ won the Mod War 100, I think, second in the big deal. Anyway, hey, Carter, did you notice that fancy thumbnail we had for this episode?
Oh, you mean the one you can find on markandersonimages.com or on his Facebook, Mark Anderson Images?
Yeah, that one. Also, just want to thank Mark so much for teaming up with us. We'll be using his photos throughout the year. Mark's a track photographer at Ogilvy and Princeton, so I'll definitely run into him at least a little bit this season. But all the same, thanks, Mark. We appreciate it. He had a big year. He made a lot of money. I know Tanner Mullins is going to be in attendance. I suspect he'll probably run the full USMTS tour as well. He's come close to winning it a couple times, and he's always a fan favorite obviously for me. His car's bright pink and white and blue, and that is obviously the DirtInfo colors. It was not cropped from that, but a happy coincidence nonetheless. And so I suspect Rodney Sanders will be back and run the thing. He's won the series a few times too. But anyway, and then I think there's some question marks about whether guys like Jim's younger brother Joe Chisholm will race, and I think Trevor Hughes, which is Jason Hughes' son, is actually taking over the family business and running the series this year too. So just I don't know. Those are kind of like the main storylines that I know of coming in, and then there's a whole bunch of question marks that I have as well that'll probably be answered this coming weekend. But I think a little bit, we were having this discussion in the Discord, and I think it's kind of worth mentioning here as well. But another reason I really like USMTS is because there's a ton of dudes who end up in late models and doing pretty well. We were talking about it last night, but guys like RTJ was a rookie of the year in 2016 for USMTS, and he won their big race, the King of America. He's King Ricky the Sixth, I believe it was. So I knew he had spot starts. I didn't realize he had that much experience down there. Ryan Gustin is a multi-time USMTS national champion, and he's leading Woo points. Sorensen won USMTS 2 years ago, and he won Rookie of the Year last year. And then we found out yesterday, Brandon Shepard, you knew this. I didn't even know this.
Yes, I didn't know that. He had I think his last start was 2021, but he ran a few races in Texas and then 81 speedways in Kansas, correct? And then, but he won.
Yeah.
I didn't know he won a race down in Texas.
Yeah.
I knew he made starts. I didn't realize he won one of them. So
yeah, with Brad, our buddy Brad kind of showed us that. And then you were like, oh, I think I remember that, if I recall the conversation correctly. But either way, who knew? And that's when Brandon Shepard was already Brandon Shepard. So I don't want to imply he stopped on his way through or anything. But even the big guys go back. Jimmy Owens has run a bunch of it. I don't know. The list goes on. Dylan McCowan, I think at one point had started an attempt at maybe a Rookie of the Year run. It's just there's a lot of guys that come through, and then one of the question marks I didn't, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. One of the question marks I have going in is Kyle Strickler going to run the tour. We've heard whispers, I think, a little bit that he might, and so that's not a guy up and coming, but it's a mod superstar kind of coming over for the year and adding some star power. So I don't know. I just really like USMTS. Have I made that clear yet?
well, good news is Strickler didn't show up at the Clash on the Coast, so there's still a chance. There's still a chance he could be in Texas.
Yeah, that's what I get for throwing out a little bit of speculative names. I mean, I hedged my bets in the dish and kind of said I expect to see them maybe over the course of the year, and so I still have a chance to be right. But the dice rolls for out of the blue win on this weekend was not great. So, but yeah, so that's what I'm going to be watching this weekend.
Has
and then
I was going to mention USMTS because they like to be so with all their surprises. They should just have like when hot laps or whatever they decide to do first heat race. We don't even know which if they're doing hot laps. But
Right,
anyways, when
we're
the
not
drive,
sure.
they should do like a Royal Rumble type of entrance because just to make it even more of a surprise. Remove my race pass and just everyone everyone comes out every 30 seconds. You get a new driver. Oh my God, he's here.
I mean, it sticks with the wrestling theme. It feels like we've had today on this episode, right? Just every 30 seconds, another guy hits the track, and
Exactly.
we're not even sure what's going on. Whoever runs out of fuel, I don't know. No, but like it is interesting. 2 years ago, or maybe it was 3 years ago now, they ran a group qualifying in a four invert, and then the next year they show up and they run group qualifying, and it's all of a sudden a six invert. And then, like midway through the season, they just went back to like the normal draw passing points, and that's what they ran primarily last year. So it's just like I don't know, but they
Didn't
are the
they?
pioneers. They're the pioneers of the mod world, I believe, of the choose cone. So they are trying to make that product look good.
Weren't they running B mains, but everybody transferred to at one point? Wasn't that a thing?
I think there was a show or two where that happened.
Not a fan of that.
Unfortunately, not on me either. It's a very rare. I mean, they usually have good car counts, and I'm not trying to defend him. Last year was a down year. That's another one of the questions obviously I have coming in is like what are the car counts look like? Hopefully, fingers crossed, they're going to be up a little bit because, last year like Deer Creek, the Jamboree didn't. I mean, it was a month earlier than normal for sort of maybe reasons out of their control, but a month earlier, and it didn't feel the same, and car counts were kind of a little down, and so I don't know. Hopefully we're going to see numbers go up, maybe with a lighter schedule, like we highlighted a couple weeks ago, and a little bit more consistent pay, and the regional series to keep the guys busy. Maybe we'll just see more of them. That's what I'm hoping for. But anyway, there's more mod stuff going on.
Yes. Northern All-Stars, the rebirth, I believe, as you said in the beginning, is at Brownstown. And you've been paying more attention to this than I have. I just know what, 1,500 to win, I believe it is on Saturday.
Yep. Yep. 1,500 to win. And then, I mean, they have, I wish I had checked the schedule more, but I think they have, somewhere around 8 to 10 dates sort of already pre-announced, and they maybe hinted at some bigger events coming forward. But with what they've got now, they're 1,500 to win every race, so that's the just the payout per race, unless specified, and then 5K to the season champ, which I think is kind of cool, and then they got a points fund paying all the way back through top 10. And then I think Rookie of the Year gets $1,500, sponsored by Arizona Sports Shirts. And then Todd Steel Buildings is doing 1,000 for the year-long hard charger as well too. So, some of those names look familiar for sponsors and stuff, so you can kind of tell the influence maybe. So this is definitely something James Essex is doing. He's doing it in conjunction with they rebirthed last year, I think, or maybe 2 years
I think
ago.
it was recently.
The Northern All Stars late models, and so now they're doing the modifieds with that too. And so, the late models run this weekend too at Brownstown on Saturday for 5K to win. But yeah, as far as like the Northern All Stars for mods, I don't know much of who's going to be there. I saw Cole Falloway on a poster, and I saw Ryan Thomas on a poster. And so we've mentioned those guys before on the podcast, Cole Falloway more than Ryan Thomas, but they're both pretty solid guys. So if just those two show up, that's enough for a race, and it could be a good one. But I suspect we'll get more than that.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get like some Illinois guys and stuff. I mean, it's another one of those. There's very few options in the Midwest right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can run somewhere, a lot of guys like to take that option if they can. But this series kind of feels just like Mars, like a little smaller schedule. But it's like, there's the Mars late models, and then the
Mm-hmm.
mods are kind of like the support class for a majority of the shows. That's kind of how it is for the mods, it seems. The Northern All-Star modified, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I don't totally hate that. I mean, if you're able to, I I think we saw Volusia. I hate to speak out of turn, but I think they're only running for 1,000 at one point to win the features. So this may be a little bit more. Maybe there was 1,500 now, but I don't know. It just, the payout seems pretty decent for UMP. I'm not going to go on a limb and say it's super good, but it feels strong for them. And 5K to first 10 races or so ain't terrible if you can win the championship. So, it's pretty. I'm just interested. I like that James Essex is doing it, and like you said, even if it has to be a sister series, at least the mods are getting shine. Just like with the Mars, at least the mods are kind of getting a regular touring schedule, even if it's in support of another one. I personally don't hate it, and I think it's a good point, and hadn't thought about it until you mentioned it.
I feel like it's nice to kind of have like a lower series because then you kind of always got a support class for your events, that like who most of the drivers are, or if there's going to be a ton of cautions or not kind of thing. I mean, obviously you're going to
Yep.
have guys that aren't always there, but I feel like it's nice to kind of have support class for your main series. It kind of works out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it adds to the quality of the show. I mean, just truthfully, right? If you're getting 10, 12 mods to travel, and then maybe you can, link up with 10 to 12 from the track there, then you've got a full field of cars, and a good fair bit of them are fast and travel, and you see them at Volusia and stuff like that, and yeah, I think it's a good product. I think it's a good idea, and it keeps the show moving. In and out, right? You and IMCA folks, you like a quick moving show.
I love a quick moving show.
So, yeah. So that's speaking of late models. I guess we kind of worked them in there with the Northern All Stars mods, but there's another late model show going on. This one is a MLRA Tribute show. So it seems appropriate that we should mention it. And that one's happening at
Springfield Raceway in
Springfield.
Missouri,
Yep.
home of the Turkey
Okay.
Bowl.
Home of the Turkey Bowl. Yeah, I think I saw they're running for something like 5 and 10K this weekend, so fair bit of money. I've been hearing the weather looks great. Gordy Gundaker, who I think's the only person I've seen confirmed going, said the weather looks fantastic. So
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be in the 60s or something, which is funny because they had snow, I think, like a week ago. They were plowing
Mhm.
the snow off the track, I think, on Sunday. So
Crazy. Crazy. Then again, it was 50 where I'm at today, and last week it was negative 15. So
it's the same here. Yeah, it was low 50s today and
yeah,
40s for next couple days. So I'll take it.
yeah. So I the only other thing I want to mention is I thought it was kind of neat. It looks like they have like one of the former announcers gonna announce part of the race. And it looks like they had some other people associated with the MLRA at some point in time also going to be involved kind of with running the show and stuff. So I don't know. I think that's kind of neat that they're paying respect to that. We've mentioned that it went away. We've talked about, who's going to fill those shoes, and this obviously isn't that, but I appreciate that they're showing some respect to the MLRA because it's going to be missed, I think.
I think too they'll get a solid car count given I don't really know. I mean, the only other late model stuff is Southeast. So I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
those Midwest guys got either stay home or go there. So I'm
Yeah.
sure I'm
Or
sure we'll get some former MLRA guys too. So
probably, or Brownstown, but
yeah,
I mean,
Brownstown. That is true.
yeah. So at least they got some stuff going on. We talked 2 weeks ago. That was like, where's no late models for a while? Well, turns out a little bit of patience. But anyway, I think that's all the stuff we had scheduled to talk about. So that means it can only be one thing.
Time for the one for the road, and we'll be going back into some late model stuff. This weekend, the Spring Nationals, was it Schaefer's Oils Spring Nationals, I believe,
Yep.
kicks off this weekend at Swainsboro on Friday and Sonoya on Saturday. I believe yeah. I couldn't remember if it was
That
flipped,
sounds
but
right.
um,
Yeah.
I think it's 7,000 and like 53. Ray Cook always does that with his thing, but and then 10,000 on Saturday. And I'm curious to see who will be there because I'm sure we'll get. I think Dotson's going to something around. I think he's going to that. There's a few others that are going to just some races in that area. I mean, where else are they going to go? I guess go all the way
Right.
to Springfield. take the trip out west. But yeah, I always like watching like the Schaefer's Oil stuff. I think it's Southern Nationals. The one in the summer, I always like watching because you never see
Mhm.
those tracks that often. Like you might see
True.
them like Sonoya, you see once for the Castrol deal at the end of the year, and then other than that, it's just the Schaefer's Oil stuff. And then Swainsboro, I've pretty much only seen with that. So it's just nice to see a new track every now and then instead of one
Mhm.
where you see it seems like 15 times like throughout
Yeah.
the year, like
I,
an Eldora or Knoxville or something like that.
yeah. So interestingly enough, I believe 3 years ago, I think it was. I think I watched every single Southern Nationals race. This was like when I would like got heavy into dirt draft, and I was like lamenting. I started after the season had started, so I was like lamenting that I couldn't play any of the leaderboards and I didn't have to have a chance to win anything. And then they started the Southern Nationals, and I was all in, and I finished second. I've finished second more than once. I definitely have, but that was my first heartbreak. I've never won one. But so to your point, I remember, I think there's a track called Wythe,
Yep.
Wythe. I think it's in Virginia, and it's just gorgeous. It's just absolute, like they showed like an overhead shot. I think this is the one. And it's just like it's in the middle of like a forest on like a hill or a plateau. And I can't remember it all. I just remember the shot and going, that is absolutely gorgeous. So
It might be
um
south of Virginia because Virginia is not really south. It'd be a weird part of the Southern
no,
National. I
I
feel like,
know, but
but
I feel like it might have been, but that again, that the
I know
totally reserve
exactly
the
what
right to
track you're
be
talking
wrong.
about, though. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know what track you're talking about. Yeah, there's a few on there on like there was like a Waycross Speedway. I remember that was like, oh, I've never seen this one before. There's a
Hmm.
few on their schedule. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of excited to see. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever want to go to some of those tracks, but I like just watching them because there's something different.
Yeah.
You rarely ever see. None of the
Yeah.
big series go there. So, and then I
Like
want to,
Tazwell?
yes,
Like
Caswell is one I
Tazwell?
do want to go to in person. I do want to go there just because of how bank it is. It's
Yeah.
like it's nothing we have around here that's banked like that.
Right.
But I
But
want to mention too on Sunday Cherokee Speedway has a 15,000 to win race. Their March Madness race. And I know some guys are going to that too, some bigger names. So and that's on Hunt the Front TV, which I did buy this past Saturday. So I'm looking forward to watching that.
you didn't even know at the time of purchase either, did you? It's almost
No,
like a bonus.
I knew Cherokee was on there. The one
Oh,
I didn't know Southern Raceway or not Southern Raceway. Northwest Florida was going to be on there tonight.
that's
When
what it
as
was.
of recording, I was like, oh, extra race added on. So
That was a bonus. I had it mixed up, but either way, that purchase is paying off, and there are
exactly.
bonuses. Yeah. So, right on. Well, for my one for the road, I'm going to touch on. I think one. I might have. I don't remember when I brought it up in one of the most recent episodes, but anyway, the Swamp Cabbage 100 ran this weekend, and so that they got a they got actually a ton of cars for being the southernmost dirt track. I was annoyed at myself for not saying that last week. Southernmost dirt track in the United States. They got a boatload of cars. I think it ended up being something like 177 total cars that showed up. The headliner was the factory stocks, and they were racing for 22K. They had 68 guys show up, and Ronnie Newsom was the winner. And based on a little Facebook sleuthing, he's a three-time Cabbage 100 winner. So the guy can get it done when big money's on the line down there. And then I did just want to mention, like, I saw probably one of my favorite MRP names in the factory stocks, but Willie the Kid Cuddy finished 12th. And it's the whole thing on MRP, and I love it. And he came home 12th in factory stocks in the big show. So, and then they had the 15K Cruiser late models, which Mark Whitener won, and then Cruiser Street stocks, Jeff Parsons, who I think we talked about a couple of weeks back at Ocala for their big.
I think so,
Um,
yeah.
Yep, yep. And then what we're thinking was Crown Vics, but 5K for Crown Vics, Mason Cassidy was the winner. And all of the classes had 30 or more entries. So heck yeah, right on. I was intrigued by it last week, and I'm I don't have any skin in the game, but I just like when I like when cool stuff works out. So like, I guess that's like kind of why I'm over here like stumbling for words. But I just like seeing when cool stuff works out, and this seemed like a cool thing, and it definitely worked out. So right on, round of applause to them guys. But anyway,
I
that's it
I saw
for
too.
me.
Will Harrington was in a factory stock, I believe it was there, which I don't know. I don't know if you've driven them before, but I thought that was interesting. If it was Spencer Hughes, I wouldn't have been too shocked. But not Will
Right?
Harrington, I didn't think was going to be in one. So
Yeah. No, he I don't think well he obviously didn't win. I didn't think that he did all that great, and that's not a knock, but it just shows maybe the quality of some of the factory stock guys were there that like, you know, I don't know. We've seen Will Harrington lead at the Dome before. Right? So anyway, but I think for that, other than that, that's all I've got for one for the road, and I think that means that's all I've got for the show.
yep,
So with
same here.
that, yeah, with that, we want to say thank you for watching again. If you made it this far, I definitely think you need to drop a like and probably share with somebody. Your grandma will work. It's fine. Just share it with someone. It definitely does help. And we appreciate all the support. And leave a comment if you want to see something or hear something. If there's something you think we need to know or we should talk about, let us know. We're open for suggestions and opinions. So hit us up down there. Otherwise, I'm going to shut the heck up. We'll see y'all next week.